Coming up at 20 to 8. That's what we're talking about today, Wednesday, the 10th of October, 2007. Hi there, you're watching GMTV today. It is approaching 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we're with you right up until 9:25 this morning. What did you do to deserve that? We've got lots so to fill in the hours, including the legend that is Tony Blackburn. He's talking about 40 years of being Britain's best-known DJ and other things besides, no doubt.
And former Corrie's favourite, Suranne Jones, is here to tell us about her new role alongside another legend, Dallas star Linda Gray, who you'll remember, of course, as Sue Ellen.
Well,
there's Suranne, looking great.
All right, she's in at 7:15. I bet she still looks great.
Of course she does.
Even at this time of the morning. 7 o'clock it is. Here's Penny.
Thanks very much. Good morning. Royal Mail staff returned to work overnight and have now begun sorting through the millions of letters and parcels that have built up during the postal strike. Sue Jameson is at a sorting office in London. Sue.
Yes, good morning. The junk mail, the final demands, the credit card bills are all on the move again, of course, along with all the things that we actually do want to see. And the 130,000 members of the Communication Workers Union are going to have a pretty busy day. The vans have been moving here and, of course, around the country. They're trying to clear the backlog, but Royal Mail says that they use about 82 million parcels and letters every day. They reckon they've got about half that amount actually to sort. Most of it is already there, ready to go out. However, of course, there are things that are stuck, and there are also companies now that are not using Royal Mail, so that's lessened the backlog a little. But small businesses, for example, forced to use other couriers, say that it's cost them about £5 million a day, and many of them may not go back to Royal Mail. Then there are the other things that are stuck, like bills, and some of the utility companies were telling me yesterday that more and more people are signing up to pay online. Of course, they may not go back to Royal Mail. Credit card companies, banks, they say that there will be some flexibility and sympathy, but you have to go in and talk to them individually. But of course, there are all those other things that are stuck, like birthday cards and wedding invitations and so on, you may not get. There are more talks today of union leaders. However, there could be a knock-on effect, rolling out new strikes even from Monday. You may not get what you want for another 3 weeks. Back to you.
Sue, thank you. Mystery DNA samples found in the villa where Madeleine McCann went missing have led police to ask all tourists who stayed at the resort to come forward so that they can eliminate them from the investigation. Jonathan Swain is in the McCann's village of Rothley in Leicestershire. Jonathan.
Morning, Penny. Well, in truth, this is something really that should have happened in the immediate few days after Madeleine disappeared, because what's happened now is that Portuguese police have DNA samples from the Ocean Club resort in Praia de Luz that are unidentified, and that's hardly surprising, really, because in the last 5 months, hundreds of tourists would have used that area. And when I was in Portugal myself at the beginning of this investigation, myself and others were very surprised at how the area around the McCann's apartment wasn't sealed off properly. So there's perhaps well, certainly DNA samples from half the world's media who were camped outside that apartment. And it now falls to the police here in Leicestershire to contact tourists who are in the resort at the beginning of May and ask them to provide a DNA sample in the hope of eliminating them from their inquiries. And the hope is, and the thinking behind all this process, of course, is that they may well discover the DNA of the possible kidnapper. But mistakes were made very early on in this investigation, and I think that this will do little to try and solve that.
Jonathan, thank you. David Cameron is expected to accuse Gordon Brown of stealing Tory policy today when they come face to face for the first time since the Chancellor announced his spending review. Gloria De Piero is at Westminster for us. Gloria.
Penny, I think David Cameron's going to have great fun taunting Gordon Brown at Prime Minister's Questions today, but actually I think he will be seething. Despite that, a brave-faced George Osborne spoke to us earlier on GMTV.
This is ultimate confirmation that you have a government that is absolutely exhausted after 10 years in office, has tried everything and it's failed, and now is chasing after the Conservative Party. And I take that as a compliment to the work that we're doing in opposition to be the party that talks about the future.
And he was, of course, referring to the decision by Labour to double the inheritance tax threshold to £600,000 for married couples. It won't apply to siblings who live together or divorcees either. Despite that difference, it's a shameless act of theft, and I think you can see a strategy emerging from Gordon Brown, inviting Margaret Thatcher for tea in number 10, introducing a point system for immigrants. That was something that the Tories came up with first, and now copying them and increasing the inheritance tax threshold. And I think the strategy is this, saying to wavering voters in Middle England, there's no need to vote Tory. Any good ideas that they have, we'll incorporate them and deliver them as a Labour government. Is this an act of genius, Penny, or a sign of a government that has run out of ideas? Well, that's for the voters to decide.
Gloria, thank you. Most children have been victims of crime at least once, according to a survey out today. A charity poll found that 95% had suffered some kind of victimisation and nearly three-quarters had been assaulted. Not enough money has been pledged by the government for flood defences, despite the chaos caused by flooding this summer. Experts say the £800 million allocated wouldn't have been enough even without this year's floods. Nearly half of women feel unsafe on the streets, according to research out today, feeling at their most vulnerable in car parks, subways and on public transport. Nearly all of them feel that crime levels are going up. Some of the richest footballers in the country have failed to raise £1 million for a charity appeal for nurses. The footballers were asked to donate a day's wages to the May Day for Nurses Fund. Despite pledges worth £750,000, less than a quarter of that was actually collected. Fans have had a glimpse of one of the most highly anticipated films of the year. The worldwide trailer of The Golden Compass has had its launch in New York. Sarah Moore was there.
The countdown has begun. It seems Christmas has arrived early. We have the ice skating rink. All we need now is the big Christmas movie. And tonight, what's going to be a huge hit is getting its trailer debut right here, right now. The Golden Compass tells the story of a little girl who travels to the far north to save her best friend, encountering all sorts of mystical creatures on the way. Stars of the film couldn't believe the launch it was getting.
To see them go to this expense and all this kind of hubbub about the release of the previews of a movie seems a little bizarre to me, but you know, I'm proud to be part of it.
Nicole Kidman, Daniel Craig and Ian McKellen are also in the film, which seems to be a crowd pleaser.
We can't wait till Christmas. It's going to be Christmas break. That's where we're going to spend it, seeing The Golden Compass.
The trailer was unbelievable, unbelievable.
It'll open at the beginning of December. Sarah Moore, GMTV News in New York.
And if you're thinking it all sounds rather familiar, that's because over here it was known as the Northern Lights, the Philip Pullman trilogy. On the website this morning, find out if older drivers are better than younger ones. We reveal what your carrier bag says about you. And Suranne Jones will be joining us after the show for a live webcast at 9:30. All that and so much more on GM.TV. And finally, Skippy the kangaroo. Living up to his name, the animal took a wrong turn and ended up on a race circuit in Australia. Half a dozen cars had to brake and swerve to miss him, and he eventually managed to hop his way to safety, where he had a nice cup of tea and a lie down, no doubt. 7 minutes past the hour. Here's what's happening where you are.
Thanks, Penny. Good morning. The main stories here in the northwest. Criminals in Manchester are raking in up to £30,000 a day by targeting students, according to figures released today. Greater Manchester Police based the amount on the average number of valuables a student possesses. During the last academic year, more than 7,000 students were victims of crime across Manchester, Salford and Bolton. It's a decrease on the previous year, but police say students need to do more to protect themselves. A crucial debate setting out the economic regeneration of Blackpool will take place later this morning in a bid to stress the importance of immediate funding. Blackpool MP Gordon Marsden will lead the debate in the House of Commons and ask for a regeneration package to be delivered urgently. It comes in light of Blackpool's failed bid to win the Super Casino. In January, it was announced the casino would go to Manchester, although that now looks uncertain.
The key issue, as I say, is producing an economic motor that will revive Blackpool's leisure and tourism business. And that can't be done just by putting large sums of public money in. You've got to find another economic motor.
It's now 50 years to the day since Britain's worst nuclear accident happened at Windscale in Cumbria. Radioactive material was released across northern England and Europe after fuel rods used to produce plutonium caught fire. The blaze, which burned for 2 days, was eventually contained, but many people were affected by the contamination from the accident.
Some people put it at relatively low numbers of what they say non-fatal cancers. Others put the possible number of fatal cancers up to as high as 1,000.
It was an incredible, calamitous situation, but there's still a sense of pride in the way that people put themselves at risk in order to do what was necessary in order to not only save the site, but West Cumbria and the rest of the north of England.
An air stewardess from Liverpool who helped save the life of a premature baby at 30,000 feet has been honoured at the Pride of Britain Awards. As well as delivering the baby, Carol Miller had to administer mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and heart massage. She was reunited with baby Alfie's parents and presented with her award at a glittering ceremony in London. You can catch it all tonight on ITV. Well, that's it for now. I'm back at 8:05. In a moment, we'll return to Fiona and Ben, but first, a look at the region's weather.
Forecast a gorgeous hair day with Pantene Time Renewal, sponsors of GMTV Weather.
A few brighter spells this morning, and as the day progresses it'll be a dry day with a fair amount of cloud. This afternoon, more bright and sunny spells with highs of 16 degrees Celsius.
Now then, 7:10, question for you, and it's probably negative. Have you had your post this morning? The latest 48-hour postal strike ended at 3 a.m, leaving a huge backlog that needed to be cleared. And with fresh strikes planned for next week, it's not going to get any better. Rachel Harrison is at a Cheshire company which has been hit very hard by the strike. Morning, Rachel.
Yes, morning. Well, the good news is the strike is over. The bad news is it's going to take some time to actually clear the backlog. And whilst it's been an inconvenience for many of us and we haven't had our correspondence as usual, for some companies it's actually been crucial. I'm at a fancy dress costume company. It's an online company that relies on the Royal Mail to deliver garments to customers. So you can imagine the effect that it's had. Now, joining me now is Sarah. Just talk me through the financial implications of this strike to your company.
What makes our website special is that customers can only buy items which are in stock, and then they can select next day delivery. With the strike, we're not able to guarantee that, so we're inundated with customers asking for items, can we get it by the weekend, and we can't guarantee that that will be the case anymore.
And also you've sent out some items, but you have no idea of when they're going to get them, and because it is, you know, people have parties to go to, that's going to be a problem again in a couple of weeks when actually people realise they hadn't actually got their garments sent.
Absolutely. We're also having people telling us it didn't arrive in time, I'm just going to have to send it back, so that's also causing a lot of problems.
So how much money do you think you've lost?
October's our busiest month. It's more than 4 or 5 times a regular month's trading for us, so already we've lost probably about £10,000 worth of trade. In addition to that, we were unable to supply costumes for photo shoots for OK magazine and the Daily Star over the weekend, so we've lost countless publicity through that as well.
Now, one of the other things is that I know some companies have gone, well, we'll get a courier to try and help people out. Is that something that you looked into, Gordon?
Yes, we did. We spent a lot of time last week looking for couriers and alternative deliveries. We couldn't get couriers at all. I think everybody in the country was trying to get couriers at the same time. So this week we've signed an agreement with Parcel Force, so from here on in, Sparkling Strawberry will still be able to deliver as usual. But
what do you think this is going to mean for Royal Mail in the future? Because you're pretty unhappy about the situation, in particular with strikes coming up again next week.
Yeah, I think it's undermined everyone's confidence in it. Our customers' confidence is gone. We chose Royal Mail in the first place because it's such a reliable, with a worldwide reputation, really. So having to use an alternative carrier from here on in will sort of detract from that, really. Okay, and I think that's the problem that lots of companies are facing all over the country. Back to you.
Rachel, thanks very much. Well, we're joined now by Howard Webber, who's the Chief Executive of Postwatch. Howard, thanks for coming in this morning. Obviously, we get the sort of idea from sort of professional point of view. It's hit that company really, really hard. From a personal point of view, Deborah in Southend-on-Sea, my mother was awaiting a letter for the hospital detailing her first appointment for life-saving chemotherapy. As it turned out, she eventually phoned the hospital and got there half an hour before her appointment, which was lucky that her daughter turned around and said, phone.
Yes.
This is a nightmare, isn't it?
It is a nightmare, and that's typical of all sorts of stories that we're hearing. Patients in cases like that really do need to get in touch with their hospital. Customers of banks need to get in touch with them to check up about bills and so on. But it is terrible that those things have to happen.
I suppose from the Postal Workers Union point of view, it's working because they're causing confusion, they're causing problems, and it's the disruption that they want to try and get the Post Office to actually sort out.
I don't think it's what either Royal Mail or the union really wants. What they're doing together is reducing the industry. They're creating confusion for customers. They don't know whether they can post or not. The industry is shrinking in any case. It will shrink further because of this. This is not a dispute that anyone can win, and the sooner they get properly around a table and negotiate for real, the better.
How damaging then, as you say, the industry's shrinking, how damaging is this going to be for Royal Mail?
I think it's hugely damaging. I mean, it is, as I say, a dispute that no one can win at all. Customers are losing out very obviously, and every day that goes on, Royal Mail is losing a lot of money, the union members are losing salary, but also the industry is shrinking, and those who can use other means of communicating will do, and those who can't are just suffering. I
mean, we heard the people from that company talking about the fact that they're trying to employ couriers to try and get their letters delivered. I imagine that the couriers, though, even though they must be smiling because they've got lots of work, even they can't cope with the demand at the moment.
No, they must imagine that there's not a spare courier in the country at the moment, and that there are limits to what can happen there. And Royal Mail is the only group of people who deliver every day to every house in Britain. There will not be any other. So there is ultimately no substitute for Royal Mail.
There must be plenty of post that's getting lost. I mean, we hear about lost post every now and again anyway, but the situation like this, when the backlog must be so huge, the chances of more post getting lost is going to be dramatically increased.
The risk must be greater, but the bigger, the real danger is the major delay. It will take quite a long time for the post that has built up to be cleared. Last time, when there was just the single-day strikes, people were receiving mail up to a week later. After a strike that has in effect lasted a whole week now, it'll take a long time to get back to normal.
So what about people out sitting at home this morning, like Deborah, whose mum was waiting for that, like David in York, and like Agnes, who's worried about getting post to the British forces who are out in Afghanistan and Iraq? What should they do if they're worried about receiving letters or trying to get letters somewhere?
Well, if it's possible to check up with the sender of the letter, they need to do that. If it's a hospital appointment, to phone the hospital. If it's a bank they're waiting a bill from, or an important document, to check up with the sender. Bills can be paid at post offices, and which is ironic possibly, but it's true that you can take bills to be paid at post offices if you're in danger of being due for late payment. But ultimately, there is loss. There are things that cannot be put right, and the sooner this dispute is settled, the better.
We are all suffering. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Let us know how you've been affected by the postal strike. Do email us. I would love to hear your story. gm.tv.
Some poor posties are feeling sorry for themselves, asking why you're not backing them, because if the firemen went on strike, a lot of them say you'd be backing them. If nurses went on strike, but there's not as much sympathy for our poor old posties.
I'm not sure it's as simple as that, though, is it?
No, I'm not saying it is. Do let us know, won't you, what you think anyway. The headlines now, 17 minutes past 7. Royal Mail staff have started work this morning clearing the millions of letters and parcels that built up in the postal strike, as you've just been hearing. David Cameron is expected to accuse Gordon Brown of stealing Tory policy today as the pair come face to face for the first time since the Chancellor announced his spending review. And the weather, most places dry and fairly cloudy this morning, but some sunny intervals breaking through during the afternoon, especially over eastern and southern Scotland. Temperatures generally a little above normal, peaking at 17 degrees Celsius. You've crept up the other side of me.
That happens, doesn't it, when you're not looking?
From behind.
I just thought I'd sneak round the back.
Alarming.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I got excited because I thought Suranne Jones was coming in, but then I realised we're going to a break first.
Oh, right. I thought you'd have stayed here knowing that Suranne was coming in, because she's going to be sitting here.
Ever since the court had that injunction taken out, I'm not allowed to get too close to her. Suranne Jones is coming in after the break. There she is, looking lovely.
And we have got a world exclusive for you this morning, Kylie's new pop video. Here's a little taster for you, with the whole video coming up in the next half hour. She's only given that one.
Fantastic. You can see more of that later. For that, though, here's Aisling McCloy from Reveal magazine with the latest styles if you're after autumn accessories.
The
hottest thing this autumn has got to be your accessories. They are literally huge. What can I say? It's all about making a statement. And the long, giant pendants that are in are an instant slimming aid. And the bags are big too. And remember, a big bag can even make you look smaller. Think oversized clutches or a big version of your classic hard-framed handbag. Now, everyone from Fern Cotton to Kirsten Dunst has bought a hat this season. Berets, trilbies and even beanies are in. They really can complete your outfit. The waist is back too, and you can create the perfect hourglass figure. Try a super wide belt, but if you're short, stick to slim, refined styles. And gloves can truly lift a simple outfit. Oh, and they can even lengthen your arms.
Stylish Autumn, brought to you by Evans. You'll love what you see.
Welcome to Planet U. Your intestines, to be precise. Here are some of the 100 trillion bacteria that call this 24-foot ecosystem home. These friendly Lactobacillus casei shirota are found in Yakult and have been proven by our scientists to help the beneficial bacteria multiply and thrive. A healthy gut makes for stronger natural defences. Yakult, taking care of Planet U.
Hands up, who wants to try delicious Bassett's soft and chewy omega-3 with vitamins? The delicious way to take omega-3.
Enjoy it on a Monday,
a Tuesday,
a Wednesday, on Thursday it's so good.
Handy when you've no time,
At brunch time
or lunchtime.
Enjoy supper like you should.
Bernard Matthews turkey breast slices, made with 100% breast meat. No artificial colours, flavours or preservatives. And only 3% fat. It's turkey for today.
Tasty on a Friday.
Saturday.
Right on.
I'm home.
Introducing the new Glade Flameless Candle. Continuous puffs of your favourite Glade fragrance.
It smells so good.
And it glows just like a real candle. So now you can create a mood that's simply irresistible. The new Glade Flameless Candle.
What?
The fragrance of Glade, the glow of a candle. S.C. Johnson and Family Company.
Are you the famous Colgate 360?
I am.
Is it true you have a tongue cleaner?
You see, kid, 80% of bacteria are not on teeth.
Colgate 360 cleans teeth, gums, cheeks and tongue, removing more bacteria for a whole mouth clean.
Awesome. I want to have a cheek and tongue cleaner, just like you.
Colgate 360 for a healthier whole mouth clean.
He's Elephant the elephant, see him flow.
Butterflies everywhere, watch them go!
Flying through his trunk back to the sky.
It's Elephant, the butterfly catching game. Catch the most butterflies and you win.
Catch him with your net when you see him floating by.
I'm Elephant the elephant! Elephant, the butterfly catching game.
Car insurance. It's like buying food. You want to know how much it costs, but you want to know what's in it too. That's why we've set up our new comparison website, Tesco Compare. It not only compares the lowest prices available direct from leading insurance brands, with some brands exclusive to us, it compares all of the key ingredients too, so you know what your policy contains, from breakdown assistance to sat-nav cover. You see, we believe you should know exactly what you're getting, whether you're buying sausages or insuring your old banger. Get a great deal on your car insurance at Tesco Compare. Every little helps.
Monkey, it says here that PG Tips tea is completely natural.
Because delicious PG Tips is simply natural tea leaves and water.
Mine's got milk.
Well, in your case, natural tea leaves, water and milk.
And 5 sugars.
Yeah, natural tea leaves, water, milk and sugars.
And the remains of a macaroon.
Natural tea leaves, water, macaroon, part.
And a seahorse!
Natural tea leaves, water, macaroon, sea. Why do I bother?
Later on This Morning, are these the most explosive celebrity shots ever? Satirical photographer Alison Jackson proves that seeing really isn't believing.
Actor Charles Dance joins us to celebrate his 61st birthday.
And are allergies now at epidemic levels? Dr. Chris is here with the latest in allergy testing. 10:30.
7:23, and she's on stage tonight, yet she's still got up at this hour to join us this morning. Suranne Jones is here.
Hello, I'm a trooper.
Oh, you are a trooper. Do you know, if I was on stage tonight, I would wake up feeling so depressed this morning, thinking, oh, I've got to go and do GMTV, and I'm still going later on tonight. In terms of Endearment, a new stage play, which you're touring the country with, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, we've been doing it for like 8 weeks, and now we've just hit the London kind of circuit. So it's Guildford tonight, Richmond next week, and then Windsor the week after.
And people who've seen the film, Terms of Endearment, will know the characters, and you're playing
Emma,
Deborah Winger's character,
yes,
who is the daughter, and Linda Gray,
yes,
Suellen,
yeah,
is your mum.
There I am on phone.
And there you are.
We look quite similar, actually.
Absolutely.
She said to me, "You actually look more like my daughter than my daughter does." Okay. But it's great. She's great in it as well. And we have John Bowe, who used to be Dougie in Coronation Street. People remember him from Prime Suspect, and he's due on with Judi Dench doing the Cranford Chronicles. So come along and see us.
And you're touring around the country. Does that, I mean, that must be you packing, unpacking, packing up. And where are you staying in hotels, or are you staying together in the houses somewhere? Where
The last place was Nottingham, and I was the organiser, and I said, I'll get the digs. And everyone turned up there, and they were student digs. And we found some strange things in drawers, and they weren't quite clean. Yeah.
Oh, dear. See, I thought those days had died out. It's really nice that you still have digs when you're on tour.
Yeah, because you get the theatre list, and you kind of sort it out, or someone says, I'll sort it out this week, or someone else. Yeah, I mean, I could do hotels, but it's more fun to, if you're going to go and see somewhere, you want to be with the cast and stuff. So.
And you all muck in together
as well.
Yeah.
yeah, we do a lot of like late night cooking, and like someone gets the soup and the bread, and then the toast and the Marmite, and certain people put Marmite with everything, Rob, but there you go.
Oh, it is lovely though. It does give something a certain
it's awful. Marmite is devil's food.
But I'm with a friend in Richmond, actually, which is next week, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of round this circuit.
Were you at Guildford last night, or was that tonight?
We started on Monday, so I'll be there tonight, matinee tomorrow, and till Saturday we finish at Guildford, then go to Richmond.
And how long are you going on for?
We finish in Aberdeen at the end of November, which will be freezing, I should imagine. But yeah, so we've got Cheltenham, Canterbury, Cardiff in between the London dates and Aberdeen. So.
Oh, you seem really energised by it. You're enjoying it, yeah?
It's a wonderful part. Linda's fantastic. The cast's great. You kind of see my character go from being a baby right up until a sad ending, and I love emotional parts, as we all know. Karen was slightly emotional, and yeah, I really thrive off it, and it's a great story, mother and daughter relationship.
Do you know, I read, which I thought was remarkable when I read your notes about you at 2 a.m. this morning.
Yes,
that after you played Karen, you actually took acting lessons again to get her out of your system.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Just because it was 5 years and she completely took over my whole being, to the point where, I was talking like her at home, and I was kind of, my face was...
set in that expression.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, for 5 years, or kind of did there, but mainly. And I still love it when people shout Karen at me in the street, and, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and the papers have been shouting out that you might well be returning to win Steve back from Michelle. Is that true, or...?
Absolutely not, no. Yeah. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Karen, enough good things about Coronation Street, but no, there's no return on the horizon, just because I'm doing wonderful things, and, and getting to do what I started to be an actress for. Yeah. But, I never say never, because Steve may wait for me one day, but it's not around the corner.
All right. Well, we shall find out more when you come back later.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting up early. I know you've got a long day.
Good to see you, Suranne.
Oh, yes, and look, Suranne's doing a webcast too at 9:30 this morning. So if you've got any questions, I'm sure there'll be loads. Just type them in to gm.tv.
OK, Claire's ready with the weather. How's it looking?
Well, it's looking mild here, but even hotter across the Atlantic. I think we've got some pictures for you. No, we haven't, but I do have a graphic for you. And it's showing the temperatures, Washington temperatures coming in around 34 degrees Celsius over the last few days. Here we go. That's 94 Fahrenheit, steaming there. And Charleston, 33 degrees Celsius. That's 12 degrees above average. I expect temperatures around 21, 22. But it has now cooled down because thunderstorms moved in, and that's really cooled the air down, which is good news for some. Over here, we're expecting a couple of really nice days. Let's take a look.
Here you are, Mummy.
Oh, thank you, darling. GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestle Cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
There's a lot of cloud covering the country at the moment, but it's not going to last. I think we expect the cloud to break up over the next few hours, allowing some of brighter skies. And where you do see the brighter skies, I think we can expect some fine and dry weather with some high temperatures, well, high for this time of year. This morning, it's a rather cloudy start. We're seeing some fog patches across prone spots where you saw clear skies overnight, and that's where the temperatures fall into around 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. Generally speaking, though, this morning it's a mild start to the day with a fairly light breeze. That's away perhaps from the West Country where it's a bit brisk. And then this afternoon you can see the cloud breaks up, but we will see more cloud across the far north and west of Scotland where we could see some patchy rain. Generally speaking, the cloud breaking to allow some blue sky and a little bit of sunshine. In the sunshine, 16 degrees Celsius there, that's 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Northern counties of England, maybe the cloud may be a little bit reluctant to clear, but even so, some brighter skies coming through. A similar situation for the Midlands, East Anglia. Down towards the south coast though, that's where we are likely to see the clouds sort of, it's quite stubborn. It could linger on through the afternoon in places. But for Wales, it's a fine afternoon to come. 17 degrees Celsius here, 63 Fahrenheit. And for Northern Ireland and the Isle of Man, it's a similar situation, although more cloud just coming in across the far northwest there later on in the day. So that's the picture for today. Tomorrow's looking pretty similar across England and Wales, but we do have a slight complication coming in across southern Scotland and the far north of England, where we could see a little bit more in the way of cloud and the odd spot or two of rain. Across the far north of Scotland, again, we could see that cloud persisting. Elsewhere, though, well, temperatures could reach the dizzy heights of 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit, where you do see the sunshine. So that's the picture for tomorrow. As we head through to Friday, it's a similar situation. The front which is straddling sort of southern Scotland and northern England will tend to break up because of high pressure. And what that means is we could see a little bit of patchy drizzle, but the clouds should break. And further south, some fine and dry weather. And again, temperatures not too bad at all. Here's your summary. Get a 5-day weather update for your postcode on our website, gm.tv.
We have a world exclusive this morning. Kylie Minogue's brand new video just for us.
Yeah, very exciting that is. The time is just 7:31, so let's get the rest of the news now. Penny's here.
Thanks very much. Good morning. Royal Mail staff are starting work this morning clearing the millions of letters and parcels that built up during the postal strike. The future of the company is also in jeopardy as many businesses desert it and use rival couriers. Mystery DNA samples found in the villa where Madeleine McCann went missing have led police to ask all tourists who stayed at the resort to come forward so that they can eliminate them from the investigation. The government isn't taking the threat of flooding seriously despite the chaos caused by storms this summer. Insurance companies say the £800 million pledged comes nowhere near to solving the problem. Nearly half of women feel unsafe on the streets, according to research out today. Women feeling at their most vulnerable in car parks, subways and on public transport. Nearly all of them feel that crime levels are rising. And finally, Skippy the kangaroo, doing a bit more than skipping. He took a wrong turn, ended up on the race circuit in Australia. Half a dozen cars had to brake and swerve to miss him. He eventually managed to hop his way to safety. Where he could watch reruns of the Australia-England game. The time 7:32. Here's Fiona.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, this morning's headlines don't make great reading for the Chancellor after his mini-budget. Phrases like smash and grab being used all over the place. There he is, as a rather charming thief in the corner of the front page of The Sun there. There you go. And Mr Magpie, who's been called in the Daily Mail this morning. The man that has taken on all those titles, Alistair Darling, the Chancellor, joins us now from Westminster. Morning to you. Bearing in mind the headlines you're waking up to, Chancellor, are you a snarling darling this morning?
No. Look, I'm pretty sure that I took the right decisions yesterday in the interests of the country in the long term. We've put money available for education, for health, for transport, flood defences, which you've just been mentioning there. I've also been able to afford a targeted tax cut, giving married couples a much greater allowance up to £700,000 in relation to inheritance tax. But I was able to do all these things because I can afford to do them. The difference between me and the Conservatives is they're making promises which they simply cannot afford. So I'm pretty satisfied that I took the right decisions in the long term into this country, and I will continue to do that. And in particular, I'm not going to take any risks with the stability of this country, which has given us good levels of employment, which has given us good prospects in the future. And I'm not going to take risks by making irresponsible promises which can't be paid for.
All right, but weren't you only able to make these promises because you plundered ideas from the Tories? I mean, how long ago were you thinking about changing the inheritance tax threshold, slapping taxes on non-domiciled wealthy foreigners and replacing air passenger duty with a levy on planes? How long ago were you truthfully thinking of those policies?
The answer to that is very shortly after I became Chancellor. Indeed, you know, I did an interview with a national newspaper shortly afterwards when I said that I would be announcing changes to the tax in the pre-budget report and, of course, in the budget next spring. And those are the two occasions when you announce any tax changes that may be right. But I think that what people are going to ask themselves is what is in the best interests of their families, what's in the best interests of the country. What I've done yesterday is to set out both in terms of public spending, and we do need to maintain our spending on things like schools, on our universities. We've also got to make sure that we continue to maintain spending on health so that we can provide more GPs practices, we can get more out-of-hours treatment, free checkups for people when they need that. At the same time, I was also able to put forward proposals in relation to inheritance tax, which I think are fair, but the key to them all is that they've got to be affordable. You know, it's dead easy for someone to stand up at a conference and make promises that they'll exempt people from paying taxes. The question they've got to ask is, how are they going to pay for them? And what's patently obvious is that the Tories' promises, they simply don't have the money to pay for them. And if they do that, you end up increasing borrowing, and that means interest rates, mortgage rates go up. And I don't think people want to go back to those days when you saw a lot of people getting into huge personal difficulties because the economy had been messed up in that way.
All right. Can you just tell us, we've had a lot of correspondence this morning, Chancellor, about the raising of the inheritance tax threshold for couples, you said, and for those...
Married couples, I said, yes.
Married couples and those who've gone through civil ceremonies. So what about single people? Mr. Owen has texted us this morning. He says, as a couple, my wife and I now have a 600,000 level before we pay inheritance tax, which is what you announced yesterday. If I die and all my possessions pass to my wife, what is the level that she then has as a single person? We've had lots of queries on this morning.
The way the system works is, at the moment, you've got an individual allowance of £300,000 this year. It'll go up to £350,000 in a couple of years' time. If your husband died, the allowance would go with him. Now, as a result of the changes I've announced yesterday, the surviving wife that the gentleman was talking about, his wife, would actually get a combined allowance of today £600,000, but that will rise to £700,000. So she could use that to set it off against any tax liability, and actually that's greater than the value of most houses in this country. It's greater than the value of about 97% of houses in this country. Yeah. So it would help that couple that you're referring to.
All right. You have mentioned as well this morning that you've pledged £800 million for Britain's flood defences. The Association of British Insurers is saying that is nowhere near enough.
Well, I'm a bit surprised at that because it's actually not very far off what they asked for. And as we've made clear, of course we'll keep that sum under review. Protecting people's homes and businesses from floods is crucially important, especially after what we've seen over the summer. In the last 10 years, we've been able to double the amount we spend on flood defences, and we've been able to do that because we can afford to do so because of our strong economy. We are going to increase it by £800 million, and as I say, it's not actually very far from what the ABI asked for. We will continue to work with the insurance industry because we do need to do everything we possibly can. We can afford to make that money available, and we will continue to talk to them to make sure we do what is right to protect people.
Even if that means giving more than £800 million?
Yes, of course, we'll keep those sums under review. You know, as my colleague Hilary Benn, the Secretary of State for Environment, has made that clear. But all I'm saying to you is that the amount of money the ABI asked for isn't actually that much different to what we're actually allocating. So I hope we can work together. You know, I think, frankly, most people who were affected by the floods this summer want to see the government, the insurance company, councils, everybody else working closely together to sort the problem out, rather than getting into a squabble about it. I've been able to do that. I've been able to make money available in a whole range of other areas because we're able to afford that because of the strength of the economy, which is coming back to your first point. You know, never mind the headlines, I think I'll continue to do what's right for the British economy.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks
Okay,
very much
you.
for joining us this morning. Thank you.
Coming up after 8 o'clock this morning, do you feel safe on the streets? We're talking about why the majority of women don't and asking if that fear is justified.
And after the break, a world exclusive from the Queen of Pop.
Hi guys, good morning everyone. I'd like to introduce my new video, Two Hearts, premiering here on GMTV.
This year, for our 15th anniversary, Christmas at Disneyland Resort Paris will be the most wonderful Christmas ever. And you're invited. Because this year, kids under 7 stay and play free. So join us at the place where dreams come true. Call 08705030301.
Does your gas bill get you hot under the collar? Yes, it does. Your electricity bill, a bit of a shock? Yes, it is. So if you're headed your bills, I'll get to you. I'll tell you what to do.
You could save up to £325 on home energy bills. Visit uswitch.com now. We're free, impartial, and compare all the home energy providers around.
For great deals on energy bills, visit uswitch.com.
Welcome to Planet U. Your intestines, to be precise. Here are some of the 100 trillion bacteria that call this 24-foot ecosystem home. These friendly Lactobacillus casei shirota are found in Yakult and have been proven by our scientists to help the beneficial bacteria multiply and thrive. A healthy gut makes for stronger natural defenses. Yakult, taking care of Planet U.
Hands up, who wants to try delicious Bassett's soft and chewy omega-3 with vitamins? The delicious way to take omega-3.
1 and 2 are soldiers, yummy with my eggs. 3, 4, 5 with jam spreads to fill as hard eggs. 6 to 9 are sandwiches, tasty, soft and squeezy. 10 to 12 like all mum jokes, really, really cheesy. 13 were baked beans, good for the heart. But if you eat too many, they can make you...
Delicious Hovis best of both. More people prefer it to the leading white bread. Taste tests prove it. Hovis. Goodness, that's tasty.
You are learning to talk, but it takes practice. You even practice in your sleep. It's why only Pampers Baby Dry has an extra sleep layer to help lock wetness away up to 12 hours.
Did you say Mama?
The extra sleep layer only from Pampers, inspired by babies.
Introducing Glade Light and Scent, a new kind of air freshener. Its continuous all-day fragrance helps you escape the outside world. And when you need to escape from the inside world, it glows with changing colored lights that help you slow down and unwind. Welcoming fragrance and relaxing colors. New Glade Light and Scent. SC Johnson, a family company.
It's not nice being told what you can't eat. Morning, Zilly. When you've got high cholesterol, you probably hear it all the time. Go easy on that. And cut back on that. And that. Wouldn't it be nice to be told what you can eat for a change? Take Kellogg's Optivita. It's been specifically developed to help lower cholesterol, as it contains a concentration of the most effective part of the oat. Kellogg's Optivita, specifically developed to help lower cholesterol. Buon appetito.
From the Queen of British Soul to the Queen of Starting Over. Join Beverly Knight tomorrow on GMTV.
So we have a world exclusive for you on GMTV this morning. Here is the Princess of Pop, Kylie Minogue, to tell us all about it.
Hi guys, good morning everyone. I'd like to introduce my new video, Two Hearts, premiering here on GMTV. It's all very exciting. This single is the first song from what will be my 10th album called X, and I hope you like it.
I was transfixed. There you go. That was world exclusive on GMTV. Kylie Minogue's new video for you. Joining us now is Jo Elvin, who's the editor of Glamour magazine and has just interviewed Kylie. Morning, Jo.
Hi.
The videos that we were just saying, actually, not what we were expecting. Something very different, a bit of a rockier angle.
Well, I kind of was expecting. I mean, I'm still reeling from the cat suit. It's sort of like the new gold hot pants.
Are we going to see that on the catwalks very shortly?
Well, I mean, she's a bit of a sort of a trailblazer, isn't she, Kylie? But I knew that she would come back with, you know, look, I'm back. My body's as good as ever. It's sort of like, I don't know, two fingers, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. This is me, and this is I'm well and stuff. I mean, you interviewed her for the new edition of Glamour.
That's right.
And how did you find her? What was she like?
Well, she was, you know, Kylie is sort of like charm itself. It's all part of her star quality. I thought she was really lovely, very relaxed. I think I mentioned in the piece, I first interviewed Kylie something like 17 years ago. Say that under your breath. But, and she was much more candid then, but she was also much more nervous and much more sort of like, you know, sort of like worried about what she was going to say, sort of like looking anywhere but at you. This time I find her just the consummate professional, which is great in a lot of ways. She's obviously very happy, but she's really good at saying a lot without giving you too much, if you know what I mean.
She talks lots but doesn't say much.
Yeah.
She's very savvy.
Sounds like me.
Yes, very like you. You and Kylie, so similar in many ways. But in terms of, she's become a lot more savvy about it, and that's a very clever way of handling tricky questions and media interest and stuff, isn't it?
Yes, you don't have to be nervous about asking Kylie anything. You just have to be nervous about whether she'll actually give you a really candid answer. But so you come away thinking, oh, that was fantastic. And listen to it, and she's been very, very, very careful and clever with what she said.
So in terms of the answer that she gave you, did you feel like you got a sense of where she is now as a person?
I did, I think, to an extent. I think that there's always a bit that Kylie keeps for herself, but she was very candid, because I was very interested in just how when you've sort of like made a career out of your sexuality and being sexy, how you sort of like come back to that after an illness like breast cancer.
Sure.
And I thought she was quite candid about that, actually.
And she's approaching 40 as well. I mean, did it seem like that was a sort of a benchmark in her life that she's sort of shying away from, or she's embracing?
I think she's sort of like still coming to terms with it. She kind of literally did bury her head in the desk when I said, oh, there's a big birthday coming up. She's like, I know. Because, I mean, especially when you're Kylie or Madonna or somebody like that, you're going to have to brace yourself with a slew of, you know, retrospective magazine articles, which I'll probably do, and, you know, all that sort of thing.
So, yeah, this is how she's changed.
Yeah.
Well, and especially as there's been talk about her wanting a baby and wanting to get married, and 40 is big.
Yes, and I kind of feel sorry for Kylie that that is a recurrent theme, whereas it wouldn't be a recurrent theme with a single man. You know, sort of like, do you want this? Do you want to get married? But thankfully for me, she's the one who brought it up and said, you know, I you know, family is still a big dream for me. So we did get to talk about it a bit.
Watch this space. Well, Jo, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about that interview, obviously, in next month's Glamour. It's good to see you this morning. You can catch that full Kylie video after the show on the website. Get on there, gm.tv, and you can check it whole thing out in that catsuit.
Kylie and George Clooney. That would be a good, because people do ask George Clooney when he's going to settle down. It'd be nice to see the two of them together, wouldn't it?
There you go. Yeah.
Don't you think?
Why not?
Yeah.
That's not all as well. This autumn you'll be able to see Kylie in a 1-hour special celebrating her glittering career, which is going to be shown on ITV1. Doing a retrospective, there you go. They're already doing it, Jo.
Yeah. Well, would you believe this? We've only got another exclusive for you this morning.
Heaven's sake.
I know, I don't know where they're getting them all from this morning. It's your chance, basically, to catch a glimpse of the next big thing when it comes to fantasy movies. It's The Golden Compass, starring Nicole Kidman. As I say, that is an exclusive, which we'll be seeing later on.
And what you might be putting in your children's stockings at Christmas. Richard Gaisford is in London. Morning, Richard.
Yes, good morning to you, Ben. And what if that Kylie video wasn't exciting enough? This place is absolutely buzzing with great ideas for the kids this Christmas. It's what the British toy industry think are going to be the big toys, and we're having a ball, having a play here this morning. But it's not what I think counts, it's what these guys think is really what matters. And we've got a whole team of testers here going through what the toy industry thinks are their top 12 toys for Christmas. Do you dare not come back and join us after the break, when we'll tell you what's going to be big in the shops this year.
Discover the magic with Disney's incredible buy one get one free offer. Buy any selected Disney DVD and get another absolutely free.
So, from the quarterly figures, we see that
The more I see you, the more I want you.
If you've only got one thing on your mind before lunch, you should try new Special K Sustain.
Just grows and grows.
Delicious new Special K Sustain contains protein and fibre. See if it can keep you satisfied for longer. New Special K Sustain. It's called special for a reason.
What's going on?
It's my new bolognese recipe, Papa.
New? Why?
I want my sauces to have 100% good, honest ingredients. So if you can't find it in my kitchen, you want to find it in my bolognese sauces.
So, you've made room?
And for lots more chopped tomatoes, Papa.
Your new recipe tastes even better. So good, I think we should have it more often. Mama's new bolognese. When is your dolmio day?
Thousands of people have seen the brilliant cleaning power of Theory Active Burst. And in an independent survey, voted it 2007 Dishwasher Product of the Year. Have you tried it yet? As Fairy Active Bursts clean brilliantly on your eco-cycle, you can save money and energy. So choose Fairy Active Burst.
What's my secret to looking this good? Sparkling eyes, great hair, firm physique. My secret is simple. It's the added real meat chunks in Butcher's Superior that give the extra luxury to the already delicious recipes from Butcher's.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Right in the mush.
New Butcher's Superior, because I deserve it.
Trouble with bathroom plug holes? Bring on Buster. Buster dissolves hair and soap, leaving your pipes flowing freely. Buster Bathroom Drain Clear, because plug holes need love too.
Don't be fooled, Gov. She looks whiter than white, but she's no angel.
What's the charge?
Snacking without due care and attention.
New Thai sweet chili splendips. Indecently delicious rice crackers with criminally cool, creamy filly and yummy chili sauce.
And less than 3% fat. The lowest fat splendips yet. You're free to go now. I'll look after the evidence.
New Thai sweet chili splendips. Devilishly tasty. Angelically light.
Lotus Thirst Pockets with Schlurp technology. Sponsors of GMTV Pick of the Day.
Richard is here.
Morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Very excited about all our exclusives today. Kylie video, cracking. And The Golden Compass, brilliant. If you've not read the books, Philip Pullman, absolutely phenomenal, honestly, terrific.
The Northern Lights, it was known as over
Right
here.
up
The
there,
Americans
yeah.
called it The Golden Compass, so unfortunately that's what the film's called.
They get slightly confused by issues like that, yes. Borealis, Horribilis, isn't it? Or something like that, or whatever they are. Anyway, at the Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards, big night last night, of course, here at Telly Towers, and for the nation's greatest and good, actually, because it wasn't about the celebs, obviously. It was about a young lady, well, in particular, like this, whose dad surprised her all the way from the Gulf. Here you go.
Just look at this camera here, down here, okay? And if you, you don't have to bend down to it, but if you just like that and just wave and say, hello, Daddy.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, Lydia.
Hello, darling. Not a dry eye in the house. All the glitter and spangle as well with the stars. And, as I say, the unsung heroes as well, who get well sung.
Well, do you know, and I have to say, because I left there pretty late, and Dame Vera Lynn, bless her, it was bucketing down outside, and she was
still singing.
At 90 years of age, was out there signing autographs for everyone, drenched to the... Amazing.
See, they don't make them like that anymore, do
really
they?
Don't.
From the pride of Britain to the shame of Britain, it's Super Nanny. Here's Lewis and Reeves.
They might only live a stone's throw away from the school, but as Super Nanny's about to find out, each morning's walk is a real battle.
Lewis, you dare. You dare. Lewis and Reeves, wait there now. Put the stone down. Why? That's just hit that car. Lewis, out of there now.
Oh, bless.
Oh, that's sweet.
Are they like the Phillips boys on the way to school?
No, they're not, I can assure you.
They're just turning over cars and setting them alight and
Yeah,
stuff like
just
that.
the
But,
other
it's
stuff.
just a phase. It's just a phase.
Don't get through it.
Yeah, don't get through it. Don't
My
try that
dad's
at home,
favourite
kids.
programme at the moment is the restaurant.
It's the restaurant, actually. Well, Raymond Blanc
loves
visits
it.
the final three couples who are competing, obviously, to have their own restaurant. And the Scottish tradition of deep-frying Mars bars might not be to everybody's taste. I've actually had one, and actually it's cracking. I prefer a cream egg. Here you go.
Raymond Blanc, holder of 2 Michelin stars, gets a lesson in how to deep fry a Mars bar.
Because if they touch the bottom, the batter comes off the chocolate and it just explodes.
Okay, let's go for that unholy experience.
Unholy, you're right.
Here we are. Let's go.
Go for it.
And what he thought of it, you'll have to wait and see when you tune into the restaurant.
I thought you could only do that
on
after a
BBC
big
Two.
night out.
Very
deep
big
fry.
night out, yes, yes.
Otherwise, it's never going to take you to
Very
taste
big
good.
night. Anything battered. Only if you are battered. No
Richard,
pun
thank you
intended.
very much.
Bless you. Have a good day.
All right, will the rain be battering our shores this morning, I wonder? Let's find out.
No, I don't think it will, actually. It's going to be mild for the next few days here. In fact, 18 degrees tomorrow, perhaps even 19. Not as high as what we've seen across the Atlantic on the eastern side of the USA. Washington, the last few days, has seen temperatures up to 34 degrees Celsius, 12 degrees above average. So it's been sizzling here. They've now seen thunderstorms and it's cooled down, which is probably good news for some people. Let's take a look now at today's weather.
Here you are, Mummy.
Oh, thank you, darling. GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestle Cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
Now, the weather's fairly static over the next few days. We're not seeing much movement in our weather, which means if you see the cloud breaks, it's likely to break for much of the day. There will be a lot of cloud around this morning, but as you can see, this area of cloud here is going to stay well to the west. It does mean for most of us we're seeing some brighter skies, and that's going to help temperatures up into the high teens today. So seeing some fog patches early morning where the skies have cleared overnight. Generally, there's a lot of clouds and temperatures, I'd say, just about in double figures, so a fairly mild start to the day. And then through the afternoon, with the help of some sunshine, temperatures will reach, I'd say, 16 Celsius where you catch the sunshine. Western areas of Scotland seeing always more in the way of cloud with some patchy rain, but generally it's going to be a dry day for Scotland as well as northern England. The cloud quite stubborn in places, but even so, where it does come out, 15 or 16, perhaps even a 17 degrees Celsius down towards the south. The cloud reluctant to clear across the south coast here, but inland you should see some brighter skies as well as for the West Country and the Channel Islands. So it's going to feel warm in the sunshine and the wind fairly light. So Wales, it's a fine afternoon as well as the Isle of Man, and across to Northern Ireland. That's where you're going to see again some sunny spells, although more cloud across Londonderry much later on in the day. So today's looking pretty good wherever you are, much better than yesterday. And in fact, that's how we see tomorrow as well for much of England and Wales. But to the north, particularly across southern Scotland as well as some parts of northern England, the far north of northern England, you could see more in the way of cloud, the odd spot or two of rain, and some rain just lingering on across the far north and west of Scotland. Elsewhere, fine and dry, and temperatures, if you're very lucky, 19 degrees Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. It's a repeat performance on a Friday. That's because high pressure is still with us, and what that means, there's not a lot of movement with our weather. The front is actually stuck over sort of northern parts of England as well as southern Scotland. Could see the odd shower, but generally speaking to the south, not too bad at all across the eastern areas of Scotland. And this is how the weekend's shaping up. Away from the west, it's looking pretty good. Here's your summary. Find out what's in store for the next 5 days on our website, gm.tv.